a day. So, in terms of writing the offer, sellers are looking at what kind of financing does one have. Financing.
Have they seen a lender? Are they
ready
to roll?
That's right. Are they pre-approved? How much cash are they putting down? When can they take possession? Are we looking at, taking possession in 30 days versus 50 days? What's your time frame, Belinda? Once an offer goes under contract, what's your time frame to get a loan approved and to close?
We are always hoping and always targeting a 30-day window.
Okay.
Again, we've already done a lot of the legwork to begin with.
Up front.
Perfect. So could be 2 weeks have already been taken care of through the pre-approval process. Typically 30 days is what we need, and 30 days is because you have so many outside items that have to be done. An appraisal on the property has to be done. That can be depending on the weather. And in Houston during the summer, we might have hold up for a lot of rain or a hurricane. That's happened.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Part of the contract also there's several contingencies on the contract. Okay.
Yes, let's talk about the contingencies.
Yes, because
those are huge.
Yes, contingencies are written in the contract where it allows a buyer to back out.
Right.
And the more contingencies you have in the contract, the less attractive you become to the seller.
So often I have seen really strong contracts and really strong buyers just be turned down time and time again because they have all these contingencies. Well, we'll back out if it doesn't appraise. We'll back out or we are allowed to back out for inspections.
Yes, right. Appraisal, insurability, the loan.
Right.
So I think for us to win as a buyer, we need to coach our clients that they need to remove as many contingencies as possible, and a huge portion of that is done as preparation. The loan is huge,
correct?
Right? So if they're pre-approved, we can remove the loan contingency,
correct?
The approval,
which is big because that's a big time cruncher.
That's right. That's like once you go under contract, that's 95%.
Yes, it is
of the purchase.
Right.
Right. So if you do the pre-approval, now you're focused on the inspection and the house. Right?
Correct.
And the numbers are already done. You're clear to go. So if they remove the appraisal, tell us a little bit about that. You mentioned appraisal.
Yes. Oh, such a big question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are two components to a loan approval. Your credit package, which is what you're going to get pre-approved for. Your financials, what you look like personally to the lender. The second part of the approval is that we are going to make sure that the property that we're placing our lien on, that you are purchasing, is worth what you're paying for it. And the way we do that is by getting a market study or appraisal done on the property.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many ways that appraisals can be handled. The big banks, going directly to a Wells Fargo or a Chase, we all use appraisal firms. We're required now by federal law. I can't call Joe Blow and say, I want you to go appraise this house for me today. It's how it used to be done. We don't do that anymore. We're required to have an appraisal service, and they rotate appraisers and send them out. What is so important to us at my company and in a lot of other smaller boutique lenders like we are is that we have loaded our appraisal wheel with appraisers that we know, we've done business with in the past.
They've
been in business for a long, long time. We're very comfortable with the kind of reports they do, but primarily they live in Houston. They are experts in the different areas. So when we call our appraisal service, we say this is a house in the Heights, and we feel certain that an appraiser who knows the area is
so they're
going
not
to
coming
be
from
sent.
they're not coming from Livingston
That's
or
right.
Oklahoma.
that happens with the bigger
That's
lenders
right.
because their wheel is bigger.
Yeah.
They have huge.
They can call
pool.
somebody that doesn't know Houston, and the market, the analysis comes off way off.
Right.
Okay.
So you get appraisals that can be all over the place, and it's a big if you're going to waive the appraisal.
Right, and I think that's important also in terms of working with somebody that knows the market. For instance, what I do as an agent is I run the analysis for my client.
Right.
So
You
there
know
are no
whether.
surprises.
That's right.
I never want any surprises when it comes to my
Correct.
client's money and their family.
Right.
So knowing the Houston market area and the surrounding area, I run the analysis up front.
Right.
What I'm seeing in the market is that appraisals are not capturing the actual activities in the market. It is 6
Right.
months data behind.
It is.
It doesn't reflect the demand and the
Correct.
shortage. So
It does not.
buyers are having to make an offer that's beyond that's above the appraisal value. But we know what the appraisals are coming out at because I run the analysis. So one of the things I always tell my client is this is what the appraisals are saying. This is what the competitive market analysis is saying. But it doesn't reflect the fact that there's, for every house, there's 100 different, thousands of buyers that want that house.
Right. So we are doing a market study to find out the value of the house. We're looking for a cold number, a number that tells us that the value is determined by what has closed in the last 6 months. We hope that our comps are in the last 6 months. They can go back a year. That the houses have sold within a 1 mile radius of the property that you're purchasing, that it meets the description of your house that you're buying, the number of bedrooms, square footage, lot size.
Are you seeing appraisal issues, Belinda? I mean, and what are you seeing when it comes to, because buyers are very nervous, you know, they don't
Right.
want to pay for what they think the market value is, but market value doesn't necessarily show the fact that there's so many buyers, and if you're looking just strictly on the competitive appraisal value, that it reflects the actual activity in the market.
Well, it is lagging, like you said before.
Lagging.
It is lagging. So we're using hard data, and we're using things that happened 6 months or a year ago. You're looking at fresh data. You're looking at what is happening today, what is being sold, how fast it is. There may be 20 houses within a mile radius of your house that are all under contract, and we know what the sales prices are, but they haven't closed. They haven't gone to closing yet. We can't use that data.
Right, and it's a vicious cycle.
It's a
isn't it?
vicious cycle.
Because the data is old,
Right.
so we're always kind of butting heads
We
with
are.
old data. What happens in terms of the loan if a buyer makes over list price and the appraisal comes in short? What are their options for the buyers?
We are seeing that a lot. There are a lot of different options. This is when your expertise, when the buyer is going to look at you, does this house can it really support this extra that I'm spending? I have an appraisal for $350,000. I've got $365,000 is what I have to pay to buy the house. You will of course know this house is worth $365,000. I've seen this contract and this contract. I know what prices are going for. The fact of the matter is that your data, when you close at 365, is going to be old data, and the next person a block from you may have to pay 375.
You know what?
And they're going to be fighting
Absolutely. What I'm seeing is when I run the analysis for my buyers, I ask them to offer over asking price.
for that. Yes.
And they do, and then we find out that there's 6 other offers that are even more,
That's right.
that are higher than us.
That's right.
And unfortunately, it takes that loss for my buyers to really feel the market, to really understand the market. It's an educational process.
And part of the pre-approval process prepares you for that. What if you get into that situation, you have to pay more? How much cash do you have? What do your assets look like?
Okay.
Because what are the solutions? If you have an appraisal that comes back at $350,000, you're at $365,000.
Right.
What are you going to recommend?
Right.
as their agent?
Well, if they're offering 365, their appraisal comes at 350.
Right.
Well, first of all, they're going to have to come to the table with that difference.
Correct.
That's between 350 and 365, that $15,000 plus whatever they committed in working with the lender in down payment.
That's correct.
And thank goodness you've worked with them up front to have different packages that fit
Right.
that scenario.
So you're ready.
That's right. You prepare
You're
them for that.
emotionally ready
Got
for
it.
that.
You prepare them for that so that in the event that they do get that offer and the appraisal, they need to be prepared for that because it's coming.
Yes.
If it's coming. So they know exactly what monies they have to play with and what monies they have to come up with because you work with them on that. They also have the right to terminate if they have an appraisal contingency in there. And right now we're seeing sellers saying, if you have an appraisal contingency, sorry, we're not going to want to do business with you.
Yeah.
So in order to win, sometimes they have to consider waiving the appraisal contingency. And in order for my buyers to be comfortable with that, it's essential that they talk with you about that and you give them the different scenarios and what kind of monies they have to play with.
What it means to them. And you're not going to be putting your buyers in a position of offering more for a property that's not worth more.
No, and that really begs the question about, Jennifer, if I offer over list price for this, am I putting my family in jeopardy? Okay? And it's about, can I get this out on the later?
Like
okay?
you said in the beginning.
Yes.
If you're not just focused on going into it, but what happens later.
That's right. If my client is able to retrieve that money, if they're able to build on it, the equity of that, when they sell, nobody can guarantee any kind of result
Absolutely
in 5
not.
or 10 years.
Right.
But if they buy in the right area, are they going to be able to recoup that money? I would think yes. I would think that likelihood of that is yes. People are continuing to move into Houston, and the
what
location.
are the numbers? Oh my gosh.
It's about 1,000 a day.
Families a day.
Right.
Yes.
So we look at resellability, and when writing the offer, we're also looking at down payment. We're looking at waiving the appraisal. We're looking at buying as is. Now that doesn't mean that they can't back out if the inspection looks bad.
What does that mean? Because if you get an inspection report and you see that there is
Air conditioner needs to be replaced.
roof is
Right.
much older than you thought.
Let's put ourselves in the seller's position. They have multiple offers. They've got somebody who's waiving the appraisal, and somebody who's got who's willing to take possession, close quickly.
Right.
Timeline. They want to take the possession of the house quickly. Now, if you take possessions quickly, you can always lease back.
Right.
But
they get their money faster.
sellers like to get their money. They want something that's reassuring.
Right.
And then you're looking at inspection as is. What that means is, listen, we want to give you some predictability, seller. Okay? Sellers like predictability. If you're telling them you're buying it as is, that means you're not going to nickel and dime them on the inspection.
Right.
And they like you a lot more. Even if you're priced a little less,
Yeah.
they still like you a lot more because they want predictability. It makes them nervous when they don't have predictability. So if you're saying, I want to buy it as is, they love you for it. It doesn't mean that you have to buy it if it's a lemon. You can still back out within the option period, which is the time.
So what is this? You get an option period. And people pay for this option period.
Right. You as the buyer, you can write the offer with a timeline that says, I will take possession quickly. I will waive the appraisal. I am pre-approved, so please love me. And they do love you.
Yeah.
You can waive the inspection where you say, I will buy as is. I do respectfully ask for a 10-day option period. So you pay them a minimal fee depending, $250, $250, $350. Sellers are getting a little bit more serious about that. So they, up to $500 sometime. And that money is credited towards your sales price, but it is non-refundable. So you have to be pretty serious.
If you walk away, you're going to lose your option
That's
money.
right. And the sellers are going to be stuck with the inspection money. So they don't want your option money. They want you
That's
to
right.
close. They want you to buy their house. So you have the right within about 7 to 10 days to inspect the property and to say yes or no. Do you want the property or not? Okay.
So you're waiving the inspection,
You may.
but you're not waiving. I mean, you are giving yourself time to review the property.
That's right.
I think that's big.
Huge.
Because you would never want someone to buy a house without having ever done inspections.
Absolutely.
You would never recommend that, correct?
That's right. That's right. You always want to do, even on a new construction, you want to do inspection.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so once you go under contract, then you have all these things to solidify your contract. So that way, when you go through the inspection, you're not worried about the numbers in terms of the loan.
Done.
You got that over
Done.
with. Now you're focused on, is this a lemon or is it a good house?
Right.
During inspection, you can't nickel and dime people, because they've got another buyer waiting in the wing.
Right.
So once you go through the process, then if you want the house, now they come back to you, Belinda. All right.
Right.
So now they got to kind of take the bull by the horn there and work with you on the details, the close, to take possession of the loan. What happens from there?
Tick, 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 tick. Now we're on a timeline. We have 30 days to close. We have 25 days to close. We hope we have 30. 45 days. So much activity then. We have to decide on an interest rate. First of all, decide on the product. What type of loan do you want? We will have discussed all of this during the pre-approval process. So you should be very keyed in on one particular product or several. We look at interest rates. We strategize if we should float or we should lock. That's what I do all day long. I spend most of my time with my nose into the markets, and I'm reading forecasts about what we expect from reports coming out of Washington, what it's going to do to interest rates, but we're all looking at a crystal ball. The crystal ball can sometimes seem very clear and completely get cloudy within 5 minutes. So we're playing the game. So we play the game interest rates. So you have to lock your loan. You have to pick your loan, lock your loan. We have to start all of our real hard verifications. So that takes time. We have to do an appraisal of the property. And we have to refresh the data that's in your file. So we may request various things from you to refresh your file.
Like getting the bank statements, like what?
Newer bank statements.
Okay.
Let's update the bank statements. Give me a newer pay stub. That sort of thing.
So just refreshing the
Refreshing.
file, not
It's just
having
refreshing.
to reinvent the wheel.
No, not.
Perfect.
We've already gone through that.
Perfect.
So this is just keeping it up to date because we are required to have your documents in your loan cannot be more than 90 days old. We may have the freshest documents in there, but we may not, depending on when you started the process.
What issues do you see in doing this?
Oh, people decide they want to change jobs, and yes,
no.
yes,
That's a big problem.
And it can be. It doesn't have to be though. You're a CPA. You work for one of the big CPA firms. You get an offer to move to another CPA firm. There's not going to be any gap in your employment. You leave on good terms. You go and accept a job doing exactly the same job with more money. No problem. We don't want you to be a CPA and decide you want to be a pilot. So you're a CPA,
change.
you've had your pilot's license, you're a licensed pilot. I actually had this happen. Licensed pilot, practice as a CPA, then you decide I'm going to be a pilot. Doesn't work. Got to be on the same job. Things like that happen. Your financial situation changes. We don't want to see any of that happen.
Right, drop in income, or job change,
or you've used the money to buy a new car, or
so credit.
Of course, the credit
Your
issues
balance
have got to
sheet
be solved.
changes.
Right.
Okay, so you have to kind of keep it at the same level throughout until.
Like I said in the beginning, you really want to stop
Yeah.
any sort of purchasing or changes during the time that you're getting into this loan
Gosh,
process.
it's so important to talk to you up front because a lot of this education, most buyers have never. They just go through the process of.
Well, they have two people to talk to. you decide you're going to buy, you can pick up the phone. I mean, we are iPhone people. We are available, sometimes too much, but we're texting all day long with my borrowers and little questions about the market and things that they're seeing when they're out with you, and we're looking up taxes and seeing what the insurance might be. So we're going back and forth the whole time.
I love the fact that we are so available and so client oriented. I think that the speed of the way you work and the way I work is we are very focused on getting it done, because again, education, preparation, and speed. Speed is so important, and when they find a house they love, we are on it.
The rest has to be done.
That's right. And then when we find the house we love, we let you know, and you write a pre-approval strictly for that property,
Correct.
for that client that
Correct.
you can stand behind.
Yeah, we don't want a general pre-approval letter, because you don't want to tip your hand. You don't want to say, I'm qualified, I've been pre-approved for $500,000 when you're looking at a $350,000 house. So we are going to address the letter to a specific property and a specific sales price. So you're not telling the seller any more than you want them to know.
And then in terms of getting the contract written, getting accepted, to make it as solid as possible, to keep it clean, what I call it. Keep it clean. Make it easy for people to accept our offer. And working with a credible lender that's been in the business for a long time. And sometimes as a listing agent, I will call the lender and find out who is it they're working with, how long they have been in business, and verify that all the due diligence is done, because I don't want to put my listing under contract with somebody that's not credible, with a lender that's not credible. So it really does make a difference. And I think that working with a lender and a buyer's agent that knows the market, that does the appraisal, that educates our buyers, get them ready to win, is critical in getting that contract accepted.
And we win.
That's right.
They win. We all win.
Because at the end of the day, if they don't buy the property, nobody wins.
That's right.
That's right. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we're working hard for you, and we really appreciate your time in viewing this. We're always here. Belinda and I are always here to help you every step of the way. We've got experience in winning, even if it's not the highest price or a cash offer. We have experience that can benefit and make you win.
Thank you.
Thank you.